All right. Fantasy Happy Hour, we're back. Sunday Slate, week 15, final 3 weeks, 15, 16, 17. Yep, 3 weeks. And then we got some playoff ball. We got hockey coming around the corner, hopefully on January 13th. So that's looking pretty positive. Lots of sports here. Fun slate. Things are heating up. Quite a few good games again. Lots of football this weekend. Kicking it off right away, my QB position. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I'm going with Jalen Hurts this week.
Oh, nice.
And you know what? Now it's at this point, it's his role to lose. I think the moment he has any sort of sloppiness or poor play, it's going to be Wentz back in there. If he squeezes out another week and has another great game, that's great for, it's got more of a gamble, cheaper play too. Great W over the Saints though on Sunday, 24-21 or something, like very close. I would have never guessed, but here we are.
Too.
Yeah, I put up a solid 23 fantasy points. So I'm sure people in Philly right now are having flashbacks to BDN and going to the Super Bowl. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they have an exciting game this weekend against the Cardinals. Between him and Kyler Murray, those two, this one could be quite the gong show. We know Philly's defense isn't that great in the first place too. So if they're playing from behind, similar to the other games on Saturday with a few of them, we could see some pretty high scoring games. And I don't know, this is my pick at QB. What are you thinking, Taryn?
I love that pick, actually. I think he came out, and it's funny. We had our guest last week from Philly on, and he talks about the defense against his own team. And now, he could have came back on this week, and now he'd be picking all the Eagles again because it looks like they're kind of resurgent. And I'm actually going to mention a few Eagles, an Eagle, but it's not at the quarterback position. But I am going with what I would call the alpha version of Jalen Hurts, and that's Lamar Jackson's resurgence. And you know what? At this point in the season, we have to start playing guys that have playoff hopes because that's the important part for these guys. Tonight, they're playing the Browns, and he had 78 yards and 2 TDs in the first half. So, and that's on the ground, rushing, sorry. So, Lamar Jackson's back. They're fighting for that 7th playoff spot. And I think, Jacksonville gave up 215 to Derrick Henry last week. It's a cake matchup to rush. He could go up 28-0 off early with his rushing like the Baltimore used to and then get sat for whoever comes in. But don't sleep on this matchup. He's priced up 7,500, but I think he's the better version of Jalen Hurts, even though I do think Jalen Hurts is a great option. I just think that Lamar has more upside right now because it's basically he can't pass, and it doesn't seem like their passing game has any power. So I think he's a great option. But moving to running back, it's where I went to Eagles Nation as well. Miles Sanders, he came out in the media today and talked about how that Jalen Hurts gave them a spark, and the team actually feels like they have a leader again. That, of course, disagrees with what Doug Peterson said as well, that Wentz is still a born leader and whatever, but who knows how that'll go. So hopefully he doesn't get benched. But new look Eagles, he was running the ball great. He's getting a lot of that dump off work. When you got a new quarterback in, you expect some of those short checkdowns, and Sanders saw that with 5 targets, and he rushed 14 times for 115 and 2 touchdowns. So it just seems like this offense has more power. Arizona's D looked awesome last week, so I do think this is a bit of a risky play, but I think that overall, 6,900, he's going to go under-owned. Great play at that position. So where are you going running back-wise?
I'm going Alvin Kamara.
Nice.
Playing the Chiefs this week. I expect this one to be pretty high-flying and lots of points, obviously. I personally am not 100% sure on which team's defenses shut down passing and run game and what. So this could be a bad pick as I'm not that familiar with it. I just am more so going on the fact that the Saints are still using Taysom Hill, and they might have to rely a little bit more on the run game. I know he's a great quarterback, but especially if the Chiefs are going to be coming out and throwing up a few TDs fairly early, they might have to rely on him a little bit more. So, Alvin's more or less, he's had a few rocky weeks, but for the most part, he's pretty good and gives you quite a, you know what you're getting with him. Pay the price, but yeah, I had some budget lying around with some fantasy dollars here, so it's looking like you can splurge on the running back. Because past few weeks, my running back picks have been risky and not good, so this week I'm going safe. But kicking it over, wide receiver, I couldn't leave out the Houston Texans, so I'm going with T.Y. Hilton. We see T.Y. Hilton last week with a good old 25 fantasy points. Relatively quiet year for him, though, on the fantasy front.
Except for recently.
Well, recently, yeah, he's kind of had another resurgence here. Maybe that's what this episode is, the resurgence. Yeah. But at the start of the year, he was like, I picked him, I think, once or twice, and it was not worth it. But playing Houston, obviously Houston and Deshaun can bring Houston into any game. They have Brandon Cooks back, hopefully this week. If not, though, that sucks.
Yeah.
QT all the way.
Chad Hansen.
Yeah, Chad Hansen, 4 years in the NFL, first game. But some good receptions. But yeah, I think this could be good for both, taking either Phillip Rivers or T.Y. Hilton potentially. The last game they just played 2 weeks ago was pretty exciting. Houston should have won, but they had that missed snap at the 1 yard line, which ruined it for us. And there you saw the season crumble. So yeah, T.Y. Hilton, what are you thinking for a receiver here, Terry?
I went to a guy who has been a bit of a target hog since his team's been kind of shutting down a little bit, and that's Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers. They get the Cowboys 31st ranked DVOA. Clear number one receiver there now. Deebo Samuel's hurt again, and they expect him to be out. And I would expect they sit him for the rest of the season, especially at this point. They have I think it's a very large margin chance at the playoffs, and that's extreme. I think they're pretty much eliminated at this point, though, but expect Mullins to just fire the ball. He had, I think, 16 targets last game, resulting in 10 for 119. He didn't get it in the end zone, but you add him in the end zone, that's a 30-point performance pretty much. Play the volume. He gets a ton of targets. There's no other receivers in this core. He's going to be the guy to get you 10 for 100 in this offense if they stay sustainable. And, of course, the Cowboys D look decent, but they're definitely nothing that can't be scored on. Moving over to tight end. Hey, Arnold. Dan Arnold there for Arizona. He's kind of just came back. He's got a touchdown, 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. He's kind of became the red zone target, even though he gets like 3 targets a game. So, this is a very boomer bust play. But us on the Fantasy IBR, we live in that 3,500 to 2,500 range at tight end. And that's where I always sit. And so he gets Philly, who's weak in the middle. It's probably their worst spot to defend. And so I just bank that he gets a TD, gets in the end zone, maybe gets a second one, and, keep this game kind of high scoring with the 2 quarterbacks. So where are you going for the tight end?
I'm bouncing back to the same reason I took Kamara at running back, hoping to save some dollars in the other spots and splurge out. Travis Kelsey, they're playing each other. Again, you can't. Another guy, it's tough to fade. 30 points this past week. He's reliable for Mahomes. It's like every tight end, we always joke that they, if you pay 25 to 3,500, you're going to get 10 points for the most part. Well, you pay the 8,000 or 7,000 for Kelsey, and you're going to get 25 points. So
this week up to 8,000.
Yeah,
it's the first time I've ever seen a tight end priced that high, I think.
Yeah, and so risking it, but I have the gut feeling with this game it's going to be a good one. So I'm going there. Bouncing over to my defense special teams. I'm taking Cleveland Browns playing the Giants. I feel like they're usually good for 3-4 sacks. They have a decent defense, and I'm just banking they keep the Giants off the board or very low scoring. If they get a couple fumble recoveries or something, if they give me that 10, 11 points, same kind of way as the tight end. And then, if we keep it real low scoring, maybe up to 20. So or a touchdown, but we'll see. What are you thinking for the DST there?
I had a hard time with this. There's so many good defenses this week. Like there's a lot of one-sided looking games. Baltimore's in a great spot. New Orleans, not New Orleans. There was another great spot, like as you said, the Browns. But I was trying to vary somewhere at the high end and pricing, and I went 3,300. I actually went the Chiefs. And the reason wasn't that I don't expect Kamara to have a good game. It's actually that Taysom Hill against Philly looked like a rookie. Like he looked terrible. He looked panicky. When he was getting rushed well. He just looked like he didn't know what to do right away. He was throwing these rockets at the receiver 4 yards away from him that bounced off Kamara's hands because he's throwing it 100 miles an hour at him. And that turned into a pick six, or was it a pick six or pick? And I just think overall, play the chance. Taysom Hill is a bad game, even though they get a few points. He gave up, I think it was 4 sacks, a pick, and a fumble last week. And the one thing the Chiefs do well is they do have a good pass rush. And then Tyrann Mathieu in the middle is pretty good. So there's a chance of you getting those points. So
The
just
Honey
play
Badger.
defense. Yeah, well, I think now it's just play defenses. Vary every lineup with a different defense. Hope they get that weird touchdown. Like the Cowboys were a chalk last week, and they ended up working out because they got that defensive touchdown. But you'll see these defenses just perform out of nowhere, and I think you just vary it all over. So overall, though, it should be a fun week.
Perfect. Well, thanks for watching this, guys. And if you're watching this during the week, check out the other ones. If you're not, subscribe or like us and check us out in the future if you didn't mind the video. But yeah, have a good one. Au revoir.